In today's world, we are increasingly dependent on technology. Our business and personal lives rely on it, but as you've probably noticed, it's unreliable. Our computers are slow, so we end up squinting at smartphones and tablets. The jokers we pay to fix our stuff have no clue what they're doing. We live in constant fear that something's going to happen to our personal data. So we're scared into paying for fake protection that proves useless when disaster strikes. Update attacks, fake Wi-Fi, cloud control, intelligent, successful people feel intimidated by the chaos and think it's somehow their fault. If they only knew what the industry was doing to them, they'd get torches and pitchforks. If only we had someone to explain it all in plain English so we can start protecting ourselves. Oh wait, we do! It's the Computer Exorcist Podcast with your host, Marc Anthony Arena.
From the silver-plated Wallace Memorial Tribute microphone in Dr. Mike's sauce cellar. This is a very special episode of the Computer Exorcist Podcast. My name is Marc Anthony Arena. I am so glad you have joined us today. I am in a basement in Ohio. Sitting right next to your favorite co-host, Dr. Mike.
Let me just rephrase that. You're willingly in a basement in Ohio. there's no Hannibal Lecter stuff going on here. But yes, there is a sauce cellar. Mark took a glimpse at it and said it was beautiful.
Yes, I actually contributed to it. I brought him the sauces of his homeland. I brought him some Boss sauce and Bill Gray's sauce and Country Sweet.
Yes, I do believe back in Rochester they call those the mother sauces.
The triad. Oh boy. So folks, as I said last week, for our 100th episode, we had to do something special. And as I was driving to Ohio for my own sanity today, I realized, hey, Mike, why don't we actually do this episode live together to celebrate the 100th episode of me doing the Computer Exorcist Podcast.
This is truly an honor. I'm glad that I'm able to be a part of it. I'm glad that we can do this in person. I am celebrating with a ginger ale. But 100 episodes, that is quite the milestone. And for all of you listening out there, thank you for listening and supporting the Computer Exorcist Podcast when Mark was just a guy with a car. And now look at what he's become. Now he's traveling outside of non-Rochester. He's doing lectures in Massachusetts. He's doing lectures in Chicago. Who knows where he's going to be next? Aruba. But yes, I'm honored to be here. So let's get to it. Let's do what we do best.
And I want to say thank you to a couple people. I want to say thank you to Dom Geneva, who had me as a guest for 2 episodes of his show called the No Nonsense Roundtable. You can find him at nononsenseroundtable.com. He interviews quote-unquote famous people in Rochester, people you know about and want to know more about, and people you don't know about but you should know more about, as he puts it. And he's a great guy, and I hope to work with him more. Also want to thank Rich DeMuro, and richontech.tv is his site. And thanks for having me on your show last weekend. It was great, and I love being able to talk tech with someone. Yes. And the beginning, before he had me on, he was talking about nostalgia and the NES and camcorders and all this 80s tech, and it was just so cool. So thanks so much. Well, we're going to do a couple articles, but first, as I usually do when I have Dr. Mike next to me, is we usually pull a stunt. So, yes. Mike, tell us what this machine is in front of you.
Well, this is a Microsoft Surface Pro 2 that I purchased a number of years ago on a whim. I'm not sure why. And it's just been sitting in my room collecting dust. And then Mark texted me a picture last week about how he had a Microsoft Surface Pro 3. And he put Linux Mint on it, and it's running even better than it did beforehand, and it's turned it into a nice little portable laptop computer. So So I talked to Mark, and I said, Mark, I have a Surface Pro 2 that's just collecting dust. I don't use it. You know, I either have my MacBook Air or my Lenovo ThinkPad T400, which is a truck in and of itself. But I had this Surface Pro, and I'm like, I really want to start bringing this on trips. I want to start utilizing it more. And he's like, well, guess what? I'm coming out. We're gonna put Mint on it, and it's gonna run better than it ever has. And I'm glad that it did, because as I turned it on this evening, I got hit with the Microsoft Copilot setup app, and
brutal. And
yeah.
At least it was polite enough to ask permission.
Yeah, I did ask permission.
Force attacking.
It was at the friendly stage. It wasn't at the threatening stage yet.
So, and give you a little background, folks. The Microsoft Surface, it's actually a really good idea, and it's a really good computer. I shudder as I say that, but it's a great idea, but implemented poorly, as everything in this industry is. So, it's an ultra-thin tablet, right? Just same size as an iPad, except it's a full-blown real PC computer. It's not some limited iPad that's meant for babies. Mm-hmm. This is a real deal computer. So as such, you can have a real deal portable computer. Like if I was going to go backpacking in Europe, this was the thing that I would get, right? It's ultra thin. It's incredible. The only thing is, I would never pay money for it, because if you look at it the wrong way, it crumbles in your hands. It's very brittle.
Yeah.
So that being said, I told myself I really want one, and I'll just wait until someone gives me one. And sure enough, one of my clients gave me one. Thank you to Sue. She gave me one the other day, and it had a cracked screen, but it still functions. The touchscreen doesn't work. I don't care. I don't believe in touchscreens. I don't care. So yeah, I said to myself, it's a full-blown computer. It's a pity that it's infected with Microsoft Windows. I turned it on, and it was getting updates and whatever. So I said, we're going to mint it.
We're going to mint it.
So those zippers you just heard was not me unzipping my pants. It was me unzipping my briefcase to pull out the thumb drive for Mint. So we're going to insert that thumb drive for Mint into the singular USB port. Luckily, this Microsoft Surface still allowed you to have a real USB port instead of those stupid ones.
It says we need to format it.
Don't format it. So that's a great point. If you plug a Mint thumb drive into a Windows machine, Windows is too stupid, and it says, this thumb drive is empty. I don't know what it is.
Just X out of there.
So do not format it. Great question. That's a really great question.
All right. So select to choose what happens with the removable drives.
Doesn't matter at all. It wants to launch the Microsoft Store and sell you stuff. Nope. So don't worry about anything. Just restart the machine. And when we restart it, actually, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and restart. When we restart it, we're going to press escape to go into the BIOS. Come on, power. Come on, no.
That's the one thing about this. The Surface Pro 2 had a very flimsy keyboard.
The touchpad thing.
So
yeah, the other one's okay.
If I don't hit the mouse if I don't hit the mouse exactly right.
There you go. Right this corner. Because you're supposed to imagine that there's a button there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's updating. Why? It didn't give me the option to update.
Normally it says update and restart or just restart, but too bad for you. It's a force attack, whatever. We'll just sit here patiently. I remember sitting with one lady for like 45 minutes while her machine did an update.
Well, guess what? The 100th episode might end up being an hour, folks. Sorry about that. So let's get an article while we're
yeah, coming right up.
While we're doing this.
You know what we're going to do, Mike? As you know, I'm really behind on the articles. I got 465 of them in front of me here. 469 of them, actually, in my email box. So we're going to blow through some headlines. How's that?
All right, sounds good.
This one is from listener Matt, and it's from Wall Street Journal, August 2021. How the right to repair might save your gadgets and save you money. New legislation aims to provide more options for fixing our broken gadgets. A journey to fix 2 MacBooks illustrates the repair restrictions put in place by Apple and other big tech companies.
I mean, they've really taken the independent middleman out. You know, I want to say it's like taking your car to a dealership as opposed to taking it to an independent third-party mechanic. They're really starting to make everything proprietary. They're starting to make everything basically your Team Edward or Team Jacob.
I like that. I don't know what that means.
It's a Twilight reference. I'm ashamed to know that, but
but I see it's a duopoly.
It's a duopoly.
You have to worship
exactly.
Apple or worship Google or worship Samsung.
Exactly. You're getting shoehorned into a particular company, and it's really, really hard to switch because people are so accustomed to their way of life. And like you said in your earlier episodes, Mark, Apples were great computers. They were impervious to viruses back when viruses were a thing, but then they decided to completely isolate themselves in the tech world. So
right, they were beautiful and superior in every way, hardware and software, and they just decided that, hey, we're just gonna make our machines completely unrepairable. Now, there are certain things you can have repaired, but you have to bring it to the Apple Store. There are a couple of occasions when they have allowed the iPhone machines, they're like iPhone disassembly machines, to get in the hands of third-party, like Apple certified people. But yeah, you brought up an excellent point. They hate independent repair shops, right? It's kind of like the Audi, or I heard from an Audi mechanic anyway, this is just hearsay, but he said you can't have your brakes fixed at an independent shop. You need an Audi-controlled computer that reports home to Ingolstadt. So so great point, Mike, is that they aren't content just selling you this disposable garbage, but if you are going to repair it, they want to do it and nobody else. And again, all these Apple computers now, they're just circuit boards. It's a single circuit board.
I'm just waiting for them to charge you $150 just to look at it. Like they do at the dealership.
Exactly. So yeah, that's and look for the right to repair movement, folks, wherever you hear anything about it. Study it, learn about the right to repair movement. The idea, and it's very preposterous that we've gotten to this point as a society, but the idea is companies want to sell you a product and they do not want you to repair it. They do not want to allow you to repair it. So they actively spend all of their R&D money designing products that you cannot repair. So shame on them.
It's amazing what they could do if they actually, put it toward research and development as opposed to isolating themselves from any third-party person to try and fix their problems.
Yeah, so look into the right to repair. It's sad that we have to do this, but there's a movement now where we are looking to legally cement or solidify the right to repair our own products that we owned.
And I feel like it's if you find, and you're going to have to go, if you want a third party person to be able to handle your tech, you're going to need a third party tool. You're going to need a third party computer and not an Apple or a Samsung, something that is an Asus or something that you find, something that you find that isn't at a particular store, the Windows Store or the Apple Store. Or anything
always
like
buy
that.
third party. Always buy third party stuff. Always look for the underdogs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this machine is still hanging here, getting Windows ready.
I'm turning it off.
So he's performing a secret emergency shutdown, which you shouldn't do all the time, but if your computer's locked up, there's a secret way to force it off. You hold the power button down for about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Until it goes off. So we're going to do that, then we'll turn it back on, and I need to go into something called the BIOS. And that tells the computer, hey, look, it's called Basic Input-Output System, and that tells the computer, hang on, before we boot Windows, we need to talk for a minute.
Yep.
So go ahead and turn it. There goes. So I'm slamming on the escape and F1 buttons. Oh, no. We got to do it again. So in order to get into the BIOS, it's very tricky. You have to press the escape or F1 or F2 or F10. Nobody knows what it is. Every week they change the button. But the idea is one of these buttons is going to let us into the BIOS where we can have a little chat with this physical machine and tell it, hey, you know what? We want to do something else here.
I'm going to go over here with F10 and F12 just to see if...
All right, I'm going to do escape and F1. And it's pathetic, but you watch computer dudes do this. Woo, we got it. Woo! All right, so TPM is off. The TPM is a scandal where you're not allowed to run programs unless Microsoft approves of it.
And that's one of the things that that Windows 11 is requiring that you have on your processor.
Is the TPM scandal.
Yeah, which is which is really, really annoying.
And again, it's the huge fallacy. That's the word I'm looking for. The fallacy that having a centralized controller can somehow protect you from anything.
It's a false sense of security, folks.
Right, exactly. And that's what this whole industry worships. So the next thing in the BIOS here is the secure boot scandal, and we're going to turn that off. And that's pretty similar, where secure boot means you're not allowed to boot anything unless it's Microsoft, which is hilariously ironic because they are the opposite of secure.
Yes.
All right. Alternate boot order, we're going to talk about that. So right now it's set to ignore the thumb drive, and we're going to tell it, you know what? I want the thumb drive first to boot. And then advanced security, the rest of that stuff is totally fine. We're going to get out of there. I actually like the Surface BIOS. It's very simple. Okay, exit setup. And here we go. Now, we told it to turn off all the security filth, and we're going to tell it to pay attention to the thumb drive. This is actually fun.
Exactly. This is a...
Did you see what it did?
It did, yeah.
Go ahead, tell the folks.
It just had a red screen with the little Surface on it, and now it went to the thumb drive, and now it's telling us to install Linux. Now we're using version 21.1 XFCE, I believe it is.
So, yeah, quick thing on there. So when you turn off Secure Boot, Microsoft makes the screen blood red to scare you.
Yeah.
It's so primal. So we ignored the blood red, and that'll always do that. And when my Surface boots up now with blood red, it makes me proud. Like I just broke it and I liberated it, and now it's mine.
It's a badge of honor now.
I talked to a college acquaintance a couple years ago when the Surface came out, and he said, "Hey, look, we don't limit it. There's, aside from the usual switches, there's nothing that says you can't liberate it and do some other operating system. So the Microsoft built hardware can be liberated." And yeah, so the version of Mint that I've been using lately is 21.1, and that's just that version of Mint. And next year I'll make sure that next year's version is good before I start using it.
Yeah.
And
because I think the one I minted one of the computers upstairs, one of the laptops, and I think it's on 19 or something, which it's fine.
It's just that version of Mint.
Yeah.
And it just means that in a couple of years it'll be out of support, as they always say. Mm-hmm. But you can keep updating Firefox for a couple of years.
So go over here to install Linux Mint?
We could. So we're booted successfully into Mint, and you could double-click on the install Linux Mint. But before we do that, and it's actually trustworthy. Normally when you go to Install Wizard and they claim they're going to do what you say, normally it's like, well, it's not actually. But I do trust them. When you click erase the whole machine and proceed with install, it actually does it. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I'm going to go into the disk utility first. And I just want to verify the size of your hard drive. All right, it's 64 gig hard drive. Not huge, but it's not terrible at all. For your travel machine, you're fine.
Sure.
I have a travel machine that I left at the office, but it's 64 gig hard drive, so that's fine. So what I take a lot of pleasure in doing, again, the easy installation thing will wipe the hard drive, but I take great pleasure in manually deleting each of these giant partitions. So go ahead and click -sign on each of those. And you'll see there's usually in any kind of computer, there's like 10 gigs or 20 gigs that are just sitting there partitioned off, wasted.
Yes, delete.
And it's called recovery partition, which is ironic because if your hard drive dies, you can't use it anyways because the whole thing's dead. Oh, that's weird. Oh, okay, you tried it. That's fine. Hit delete. So one at a time. And if you notice, whenever we delete, the free space gets bigger and bigger, right? We're freeing up more and more of that space. So a hard drive, think of your hard drive as your front lawn, folks. When you partition a hard drive, it's like doing a white picket fence around it.
Take this one off too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're deleting all the little partitions. So imagine we had a yard and we put up several white picket fences, different squares of fences.
No,
so
we put up different political signs. Bush, Reagan, 84.
What would I do without you?
Mitt Romney, 2012, folks. Come on.
So, yeah, that's the point. That's what a hard drive partition does. So we've deleted all the Microsoft style partitions, right? The other way you can look at it is like painting that area. So if I create a partition, and let's pretend it's the first 20% of the hard drive, and I paint it a certain color, so I paint it for Microsoft, or paint it for Mac OS, or paint it for Linux, right? And there's also universal. There's a couple like FAT16 and FAT32 and FAT64, which are universally readable. So that's that. We now have a totally empty free space hard drive. There's nothing on it whatsoever. So now we're gonna... One more thing. I want to ask it how much RAM it has. As long as it has 4 gigs of RAM, you're okay. Ideally, we want 8 gigs of RAM in 2025, but 4 gigs is totally fine for a travel machine, folks. Don't let a dude tell you to throw your computer away. Alright, do you see the memory category here? It says Service Pro 3.
Oh, it's a Service Pro 3. Okay. Well, I did not know that.
I can't remember if mine's a 3 or a 4. Right,
yours had the hard... It almost looked like a hard shell laptop, but undetachable laptop.
It was a third party, like a cell phone case. It was a protective case.
Gotcha.
And yes, it protects you, but it's kind of ugly, so I took it off.
Okay.
I like when it's something with personal preference as opposed to some technical problem, right? All right, somewhere under here you're going to see something called memory. Yeah, 3.74 gigs. So it's 4 gigs.
Okay.
So we are great. We are flying. All right, go ahead and hit install.
There it is.
You know what we can do? We can pause the show like they do in the cooking shows. And we pull it out of the oven and it's done. No, we'll keep doing
Never
articles.
thought my cookies would get done in 8 minutes like that.
All right, so here's another article while we're doing this. This is from imore.com, February 2021. Apple adding ports back to the MacBook Pro is like a new dawn for the notebook. And this is so sad and pathetic, but around 2012 or so... No, sorry. It was like 2018 or so. Apple got rid of all the ports on the MacBook Pro.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted everything either connected via Bluetooth or...
Continue on that, yeah, or Wi-Fi to worship their cloud service.
Exactly.
So you weren't so there was this company, I think it was Otherworld Computing, that made a little dock that stuck to the bottom of your MacBook Pro, and it plugged into the singular USB port that it gave, USB 3C port that it gave you, and then it gave you an array of real freaking ports like network and SD and real USB and headphone and whatever, and their tagline was "Make your MacBook Pro again."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those things rely on hard connections, especially if you experiment with a lot of, speakers or sound equipment.
Thumb drives.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like this silver Wallace Tribute microphone.
Exactly.
It's a real USB.
Right.
So go ahead. The first option is erase and go. And then you click install. And then it'll ask you to type your name and make a password. And there. So let's see what this article... So a lot of times it's very pathetic, but you need third parties to correct, right? It's like our what do you call it? Checks and balances, right?
Yeah.
You need third parties when Apple or Microsoft, if and when they do something idiotic, as they usually do, the third-party companies come in and say, hey, we're going to give you ports again. HDMI port, SD card, and so on. Today saw a fresh round of rumors courtesy of analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. Kuo wasn't talking about an iPhone or an iPad, he was talking about the MacBook Pro. MacBook Pro refresh is set to see the return of the HDMI port and the SD card. Put Mint for that down there.
I do need a password?
Yeah, just put Mint.
Okay.
That's it. Love it. Name Dr. Mike. Done.
All right, and then
do required passwords at the travel machine.
Nope.
Turn off encrypt my home folder. There you go, and go. It's rolling. So in theory, a good machine takes 7 minutes to install Mint. And remember in Windows 95, it took an hour.
Yeah. Even when I did put my Windows 95, when I put it on the machines at the office, yeah, it took about 25 minutes to do. Now it's just, now it's like, oh my gosh, we're in a basement, and now we're talking about 7 minutes and
yeah,
7 minutes to install a new operating system. Very cool.
Yeah, and that'll actually bring us to the end of the half hour, so that's really cool. So things haven't been great for MacBook Pro in recent years. We saw power-hungry Intel CPUs that we needed to be put in a fridge to run properly. I'm actually a fan of Intel CPUs, but anyway, I get it, that they didn't do the cooling. They didn't design the cooling properly.
Sure.
The copper heating ducts. We also saw the arrival of the Touch Bar, something that's thought to be on its way out this year. The Touch Bar was this idiotic thing where it was a screen. It was a thin LCD screen instead of your F keys, right?
Instead
F1,
of an actual
F2,
physical
F3.
button.
Right. In F1, F2, F3, and whatever. And it constantly broke itself. And what is this? Some ad is attacking on this webpage. Go away. Okay, that's insane. Mute. There we go. All right, we muted the 900 ads on this page. Anyway, yeah, the Touch Bar was a huge mess, and it broke all the time, and then you didn't have your F keys. It was a good idea, but it was just fancy, stupid gimmick, right? So, not to mention the farce that was more than a couple of horrendous keyboards. Oh, and Apple's Pro machines lost all of the ports that pros wanted as part of the quote-unquote improvements. Right, and I was writing a mini speech about this the other day when I'm writing a chapter about Apple, and they love deprecation. I get it. I love simplicity too, but don't cut off your own nose to spite your face. They literally cut off all the ports.
Yeah.
Right? They love deprecating, right? Removing or obsoleting something. So the Touch Bar is nixed, the keyboard is fixed, the ports seem to be coming back, and Apple Silicon makes the Mac computer faster. And we talked about that in the episode with Steve the engineer, how Apple's making their own processors now that are more efficient. Okay, great. So if Quo is indeed right, the next MacBook Pro could be the start of something beautiful, the return of the MacBook Pro notebooks we actually want to buy, instead of ones we have to buy to run the latest software.
Yeah, but are they still going to have the iCloud scandal on them, though?
Oh, I'm sure they'll be infected with iCloud, absolutely.
I'm sure they will.
And you be careful, folks, if you buy a brand new Apple, when they bully you viciously to sign into iCloud, don't do it, or they will suck all of your documents and photos without your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next article here. How's that rolling? That's great. We're getting there.
We're going.
All right. So I've actually got 3 articles here about this MacBook Pro thing. This one is from WCCFtech.com, May 2021. 2021 MacBook Pro, which ports are going to make a return? Let's see. MagSafe is coming back, and that is a brilliant idea, right? I've got it on my 2015 Apple here.
Oh, yeah.
It's a magnetic power cord, so if your cat steps on it or if your kid steps on it, it just falls out. It doesn't break the whole computer.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't fray. It actually holds in pretty nicely. I've got a 2014 or 2013 MacBook Pro upstairs, and it's got that MagSafe thing, which is an ingenious idea because it I don't know if it charges faster because of the magnetic capabilities of it, but it doesn't shred your power cord.
Yeah. If countless cases where someone says, "Hey, Mark, I dropped my laptop and my power cord was sticking out of it." And okay, it's one thing if you break your power cord, the male end of the power cord, big deal. For $20 you get a new AC adapter. But usually the power adapter, if the power cord's plugged into the laptop, it snaps the inside of the laptop. And you'd better hope and pray that interior jack is replaceable, because sometimes they aren't. So MagSafe is a great idea. The other things they mention is the HDMI and HDMI, which is output to your monitor or TV, that's coming back.
Oh, wow.
And then the SD card is coming back, and that's massively crucial in an Apple. Because remember, as I always say, you're not allowed to have a removable hard drive anymore. If your Apple laptop dies, if your motherboard dies, you lose all of the data inside of it. So always keep your stuff on an SD card if you've got this kind of computer. Because if you keep stuff on your hard drive and the laptop dies, you lose everything.
Mm-hmm. And good luck trying to go in and get it.
Yeah, there's only one man in the world who can do it. His name is Louis Rossmann. And he even, as I say all the time, he says, yes, who's to benefit? I'm the only one who benefits from this, but still, it's wrong. And so he criticizes Apple for that.
Oh, for sure.
Unfortunately, it doesn't mention the return of a real USB port.
Yeah, they're going with these Thunderbolt 3 ports, which
is Apple's name for USB-C.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so, fine. I mean, you can buy adapters for that. It's just massively annoying to have dongles and adapters. Now all my briefcases have to have 7 different dongles and adapters. All right,
yeah,
that was a good article. Here's one more here. And, all right, and this one people have known about for a while, but it's September 2021, WCCF. iPhone 13's low Earth orbit satellite communication system will be available only in select markets. And the idea is and again, it's a brilliant idea, but totally overkill for 99% of the iPhone users out there who are just seniors who want to make a call once a week. Mm-hmm. Or they keep it in their glove box for emergencies, but their kid told them to go get a $1,000 Apple phone and then put it in the garbage every year and get another one. No one needs this stuff. The idea is if you're in the boonies and there's no cell signal, the Apple phone will reach up to a satellite.
Yeah, I think T-Mobile's doing that with their Starlink. They partnered with Starlink.
Yeah,
and they're going to start using their satellites for people who are unable to get a cell signal.
And in that case, that's pretty interesting because these iPhones are designed specifically as satellite phones, right? According to reports, you would need to be outside and it would take up to a minute to get a satellite signal. That's fine. Equipped with new hardware for satellite communications, okay? But what T-Mobile did is they said, hey, instead of requiring a phone with a satellite transponder in it, right, to point to specific satellite proprietary things, why don't we just partner with Starlink, and Starlink is just going to put a regular old T-Mobile cells tower inside of it.
Wow.
So any phone,
that's great.
Even Mike's flip phone, any phone, I mean, yeah, it'll have to talk a little louder to reach higher. Right?
Sure.
Right? As opposed to down the street, it'll have to talk into outer space, and it'll wipe your battery pretty quickly. But that's that story. So that's a great thing that you brought up, Mike. It's an interesting contrast. Okay, it's ready. Go ahead and reboot.
All right, we're rebooting now.
So, folks, that's really it. When the computer comes back, it'll say, please remove your thumb drive in a second, and then when it boots up again, you'll be ready to roll. I put a couple finishing touches on there, like I go to auto startup options, and I disable the update attacker, and I turn off credit card sucking inside of Firefox, and a couple other things. And I turn off the narcolepsy.
The blood red surface.
It'll always be like that now. But it's kind of cool, the red surface screen against your purple keyboard. It clashes, actually.
It really does, but you know what? It's all good.
So I turn off the narcolepsy, where it says it'll sleep or shut itself into a sleep mode every 5 minutes and then beg you for a password in case you have evil roommates or something.
I have kids with inquiring minds, that's for sure.
They're brilliant. They're going to turn out brilliant like you.
Yeah.
So that's really all I do. That's really it for finishing touches on Mint. And folks, you can get to me by going to thecomputerexorcist.com to find out more. And I want to give Mike a special shout out here. If you like him, if for some
I hope so. I hope so.
And usually I say this in my library speeches. I always say, if for some reason you like me, if for some reason you like Mike, then you can listen.
We got a deal for you now.
His show is called Flyover Plates. And this weekend, we are poised to do an epic episode together.
Yes.
So listen to his show, Flyover Plates. It's available anywhere podcasts are sold or given.
Anywhere podcasts are downloadable.
Yeah, and we have a blast. It's actually way more fun than this show. So, yeah.
But this was very informative. I'm still honored that I got to be a part of this, and my machine is going to run better.
And just no more problems anymore.
That's right. And Mark's going to wake up tomorrow morning and he's going to breathe air that hasn't been tainted by the smog of Kodak.
I actually breathe better in non-Rochester. There is something to that. My asthma isn't as bad.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, again, thank you for having me on the show, Mark. I'm glad that we're able to get this done, and here's to many more milestone episodes to come.
Thanks so much for joining us, folks. Thanks for Dr. Mike, and we will talk to you next week. But it's going to be boring. We're going back to ordinary time next week.
Ordinary time. Well, we'll make it work, folks.
See ya.
See ya.